Eric, what's up, man? First off, you just got done with a run. How was
I
that?
did. It was great. Just a quick one, 4 miles. I've been building up my running over the last 2 months because I have a half marathon that I'm doing with a weight vest this Sunday. So I've
Wow.
been ramping up the mileage just to make sure that doesn't crush my soul. And then I also have the High Rocks US Championships coming up in Chicago in mid-February, which High Rocks, I'm sure we'll get into. There's a lot of running in that as well. So yeah, just been trying to run consistently. I have years of running under my belt with Ironman, but the last 4 or 5 years I've been more focused on strength training and anaerobic conditioning and haven't been putting in long runs. And it's also seasonal for me. Like when I
hmm
can mountain bike, I do that every afternoon as opposed to running. And this time of year I can't mountain bike, so I tend to run more in the winter.
You're stationed in Denver now, right?
Yeah, our house is about 20 minutes west of downtown Denver.
Very cool. And so I guess at this time in the winter, instead of mountain biking, right? Because all the snow, you have to do more running.
Have to do more running, although I just bought a fat tire bike that
Oh,
I have
cool.
been loving. I I was actually snowshoeing in Evergreen a couple weeks ago, and as I was descending on the trail, there were a bunch of these bikes that were riding up the trail, and I'm like, damn, I didn't know that fat tire bikes were good in the snow. So that night, I hopped on YouTube, spent about an hour and a half watching snow bike videos. The next day, I'm researching brands in the area, and then by that afternoon, I'd bought a fat tire bike, and I was snow biking.
Very cool. And before we really get into your story, I do got to give you some credit, man. You've inspired me and my wife to kind of transform our backyard, our outdoor space into a wellness area,
I love it.
which is awesome. And I know we're going to get into it, but what you have in your backyard is incredible. But what I want to start out with is what were you like as a kid? Like what were you doing as a child running around?
I was high energy, just like I am now. When I was in kindergarten, I came home one day and I told my mom that my kindergarten teacher put my desk right next to hers because she liked me so much and I was such a good kid. And then my mom had a parent teacher conference, and turns out that I was a little bit of a troublemaker and just had a little too much energy for my kindergarten teacher. So that's why she put my desk next to hers. Um, I played basketball growing up. I ran track. I ran cross country. I played little league baseball. I played senior league baseball. Basketball was my favorite sport. I played 1 year in college, small college, Geneseo, mainly just sat the bench. But yeah, I was really into sports and really into athleticism when I was a kid. There was obviously no like training behind it. I was just having fun playing. And yeah, I mean, I would spend 2, 3 hours playing basketball in my parents' backyard and just be in complete flow state, pretending I was Michael Jordan.
Yeah, sure. Have you thought back and reflected why you just like love that so much? Like, what were you drawn to at an early age about health and fitness and just like being active?
The feeling, definitely. I love the feeling that exercise brings me, and by feeling I mean I have mental clarity. I have incredible positive energy. Um, I feel just energized. I feel like my cup is full. So that's the feeling I get from movement. And yeah, I mean, looking back, I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. Was I felt so alive whenever I was moving and exercising. And I also I love incrementally pushing the ball forward. Um, so in maybe eighth grade, I really wanted to be able to touch the rim, and I bought these jump shoes on eBay.
Yeah, I
They were
remember
like the
those.
platform shoes that you would strap onto your high top basketball sneakers. And I spent like 6 months playing basketball in those every single night and jump roping. And sure enough, within 6 months, I went from being able to touch like the bottom of the net to being able to touch the rim. And then, by sophomore year, junior year of high school, I could dunk a basketball at
Yep.
5'10". So I love incremental improvement. Progress makes me happy. So I think that's another component of exercise where, you're really just in direct control of your success.
hmm And I think me and you are similar in the fact I was very active as a child, and at the time you don't know it, but reflecting on it is because like it made me feel good.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I was drawn to because it made me feel good. Throughout your, I guess, early adult years, I could be wrong here, but I don't think this was the way you were living your life every day. What was your life after college? Like, what was your first career? Like, what gave you the tools to now get to where you are today?
Yeah, great question. So in college, I got into weightlifting, very vanity based, just wanted to have big biceps and a big chest. I was never squatting or deadlifting, doing anything super functional. It was just like bench press, bicep curls, and shoulders. And then after college, I continued working out here and there, but for 7 years, I was building an insurance business, property and casualty insurance. And it was an incredible opportunity that my father gave me to build my own asset and to build residual income. But I was sitting a lot. I was driving 50,000 miles a year, going door to door, selling commercial insurance. And like I got a little gut. I got up to 205 pounds. I certainly didn't look like an athlete during that time period from 20 years old until about 27. And in my mid to late 20s, I hired a personal trainer that helped me get back into physically good looking shape. I spent, I don't know, 5 days a week, 30 minutes a day training with him at 6:30 in the morning. And I needed that accountability. I needed the mentorship and the knowledge that he had. And, after doing that for a year or two, it became a habit for me. And again, that feeling came back of I just feel like energized and feel good with this exercise. And that led to biking and running again. And in biking, a bunch of my friends, they were buying these really fancy bikes that had four handlebars called TT bikes or triathlon bikes. And I was intrigued. I'm like, that bike is really cool. What are you doing with that? And they're like, we're signing up for this half Ironman that's coming to Syracuse. So I signed up for a sprint distance triathlon and then an Olympic distance and then a half Ironman. And I just got addicted to the sport
Mhm.
because it was similar to some of those sports in high school and also similar to business where your results are directly correlated to how much purposeful practice you put in. And, I like dissecting things and backtracking my way into an achievement. And triathlon was just that, where, if I followed a certain process that I could get to where I wanted to go. And, after a couple of years in the sport, I just had this vision and this hunger to get to the world championships, Kona. And I hired a coach just like I had hired that personal trainer. I've always been cognizant of seeking out people that have done what you want to do so that you can fast track your way to getting there. And by fast track, it's not like they're shortcuts. It's just like they're going to have the knowledge to get you there faster than you trying to do it on your own, because one person could spend 5 years putting in the same amount of hours, but they're not purposeful. And then another person could spend the same, but they're purposeful. And the person who spends the purposeful time is going to get there faster or go further. So I hired this guy who was beating me in all of these local races. His name was Mike Corona. And he taught me to slow down in order to speed up. I was doing everything really hard, coming from, those personal training sessions where the personal trainer, Henry, he was putting me through CrossFit type workouts. And I was used to like the hurt, and I was used to going hard, and I was used to redlining and doing, hard intervals. So, early in triathlon, that's what I thought I needed to do. Every run should be hard. Like I should be gassed afterwards on my back, and every bike ride should be hard. I should be on my back afterwards, just
Mhm.
completely gassed. And yeah, I mean, the lesson he taught me was slow down to speed up. It's called the Maffetone method, and it's zone 2 heart rate training so that you can increase your volume and you can build durability and build an aerobic engine. So in 2010, I could run about 5 or 6 miles at a 8:30 pace at a 140 heart rate. And then fast forward to 2014, I could run 20 plus miles at a sub 6:30 pace at a sub 130 heart rate. And it was
Wow.
from doing very, very little speed training. It was almost 85 to 90% of just zone 2 heart rate training. But that allowed me to, really ramp up the volume and run more often and run further.
What type of training gets you, to me, I think about zone two training. I've heard of it, but are you running? Are you just like walking faster and just keeping your heart rate in that
Mhm.
level? Like, what type of training is that?
Some are. I mean, he told me if you hit a hill and your heart rate starts creeping above 140, walk. So yeah, for some you may be walking, for some you're going to be 12-minute miles. But yeah, for me, I was at like that 8:45 pace when I first started doing it. And then, yeah, I mean, it just continued to drop. The first couple months were frustrating, but after month 3, month 4, the pace started to drop. And then as I was able to ramp up the miles, because, durability just compounds over time,
Hmm.
that's when, after a year of doing it, that's when the magic started to happen. And I really started seeing my pace drop. I was never sore from any of the running I was doing. It was at, even though it sounds like a fast pace, it was at a pretty easy pace for me. My body had become accustomed to, that impact at that pace. So it works wonders. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, a lot of people are going to have to really check their ego and slow
Hmm.
down a lot from what they may currently be running at. Again, this is for endurance sports. This
Yeah.
is, Ironman, marathon, ultra running. If you're running a 10K, a 5K, this somewhat goes out the window. You're going to have to do a lot more speed training if you want to be a really fast 5K runner.
Sure. Were you still actively doing your insurance job?
I was early in the triathlon years. About 2010 is when I hired someone to start like dealing with customer service and managing my book of business for me. Um, but I was involved in software during that time period, 2010 to 2014. I had co-founders, so I wasn't the sole person involved, but I did have a 9 to 5 of going into an office and helping
Yeah,
to build this software company. So I mean, my days are really structured now. They were really structured
I
then. It
bet.
was 5 a.m. wake up, 5:30 on the bike or running, done by 7:30, into the office by 8 or 8:30, swim on my lunch break for an hour, and then run bike or do a CrossFit workout in the evening. And I mean, I'll tell you now, like I was overtraining. I was 100%
Hmm.
overtraining, but I really got addicted to it. And I thought the more volume I put in, the faster I would get at the sport. Now I have recovery built into that routine. I really didn't have that much recovery
Hmm.
built into the routine back then. I was also in my late 20s and early 30s. So, I didn't need it quite as much as I need it now at 42. But yeah, I mean, the days were like, I time blocking. It's been so important to me of like, here's my exercise times. Nothing gets in the way of that. Here's when I do podcasts. Here's when I do any cognitive tasks. Here's when I do my recovery. Everything is time blocked.
And fast forward, you do end up qualifying, and I know competing in I think two of the world championships.
Mhm.
Did that fill some need for you? Did you feel accomplished after getting to that level?
It definitely did. More than anything, though, it taught me that anyone can achieve at a high level as long as you put blinders on and you say no to a lot of things and you say yes to only the right things. That's probably the most valuable lesson I learned through those Ironman years. And also that, exercise was fueling the best version of me, and
Hmm.
that, chasing money and chasing the public perceptions of success really no longer interested me. But yeah, it taught me that really valuable lesson of you can backtrack your way into success if you just execute daily. And
Hmm.
it's really all about compounding consistencies, and then just like cutting out all of the other options you have and all of the other distractions in life.
Saying no is such an important lesson for people to learn. We have a lady at the company I work for, and last year at our leadership summit, we made sure she realized the importance of saying no because she was
Mhm.
saying yes to everybody and not getting everything done, in the right way. Did you ever have like a party phase? Did you ever like
Mhm.
abuse drugs or alcohol, anything like that?
Yeah, I partied like a rock star in my 20 at college years, partied hard, early up until about 26, definitely abused alcohol. I never got into drugs. But yeah, I mean, I was blackout drunk Thursday, Friday, Saturday, from 19 years old until 24 years old.
I can relate. And with your energy, you can see it. Like you probably have an infectious personality. A lot of people want to be around you and you have really good energy, which kind of mixes with that party scene, especially
Definitely.
at that age. Now in your routine and your daily life, what are some things you are focused on training for now?
Feeling good day in and day out, being the best version of myself. That is the primary goal with what I do today. With that said, I still train at a pretty high volume, so I can sign up for High Rocks or do the CrossFit Open in age group and do pretty well. But I don't think about the light at the end of the tunnel anymore. I think more
Mhm.
about perfect days. Like, what do I need to do today to have a perfect day? And I figured out that recipe for me. And a lot of it obviously is built around health and wellness, but it's also built around human connection, having deep conversations with people, meeting new people. I try to meet at least one new person every single day in person. Often that's a sauna session where I'm inviting someone over to come and be part of the normal 4 to 6 p.m.
Mhm.
contrast therapy routine. Um, Connecting people every single day. I'm connecting people. I love knowing that I can help two people add value to each other's lives. Um, what else is on my list? Being outside is so important to me, soaking up sunlight. I never just like slog away on a treadmill inside a gym. Like, all of my aerobic activity is done outside, snow, rain, sun, whatever. I get outside for at least 60 minutes every single day. I've created an environment where I thrive. We're 3 minutes from the summit of a mountain, so I can run from the house to the summit. I can bike from the house to summits of mountains. So over the years, I've really created this structure and created this environment that I know I thrive in. And it just makes it easy. We
Mhm.
have a sauna here at the house. We have cold plunges. We have, accessible nature right out our backyards. So, I'm cognizant that for some, this might not be as easy, but I encourage people to think about your environment and think about designing your environment or picking an environment where you thrive. I wasn't thriving in, upstate New York where I'm from. And that was the reason for the move to Denver, Colorado, where the environment just begs you to be outside all the time.
What are some non-negotiables in your daily routine?
Non-negotiables would be at least one workout. Like tomorrow I'm flying. The flight is at 10:30. I'm going to get up and I'm going to get at least an hour run in. So that's a non-negotiable. When I land in Miami, I'm going right to a friend's house and I'm doing a contrast therapy routine of sauna and cold exposure. Some
Mhm.
form of recovery is crucial for me. I don't always have access to that, but when traveling, I would book an Airbnb or a hotel that has a bathtub so I can take a hot Epsom salt bath. So some form of recovery routine is a non-negotiable as well. Um, Connecting with people. I love connecting with people. I would say that's a non-negotiable, having conversations, meetings, just interacting with like-minded humans is a non-negotiable. Those would probably be the three biggest ones where even on a big travel day, like I'm getting in some form of movement, some form of recovery, and some form of human interaction.
Mhm. When did it click that you need to start incorporating recovery into your routine?
So infrared sauna for me dates back to 2013 when I qualified for Kona and I wanted to do some form of heat acclimation training.
Mhm.
So I started going to an infrared sauna studio in Syracuse, New York called Sonicuse. And I didn't realize the benefits I was going to reap from it. After, several sessions, I'm like, damn, the high after this is very similar to a post-workout high where your
Mhm.
endorphins are just racing and you feel super on. So I continued with the infrared sauna routine through those later Ironman years. And then when I moved to Denver in 2017, I found this facility called Denver Sports Recovery, specifically because they had an infrared sauna, but they also had a hot tub and a cold plunge. And the routine that people did there was 50 minutes in the infrared sauna and then three
Wow.
rounds, 5 minutes in a hot tub, 5 minutes in a cold plunge. And I mean, initially the cold for me was it sucked, it was like a CrossFit workout. I didn't want to do
Yeah.
it. But, I was like, damn, this is like infrared sauna elevated. It's an even more enhanced high. And after doing it for a year, I noticed that my stress resilience had just been built up to this incredible level. Someone cut me off on the road. I didn't care. I had a shitty conversation with someone. My energy didn't really change. It just built this shield for me. And I truly believe there's something to cold exposure and, the stress that it's putting on your nervous system and your mind and your ability to endure stress. So I just realized my ability to endure stress was increasing. I stopped getting sick. I really haven't gotten sick often in the last 12 years. I attribute that to exercise, being outside, getting lots of vitamin D, sauna sessions, cold exposure, deep sleep, all of them, nutrition, all of them definitely play a part. And then the other part that I noticed was the incredible conversations I was having with people, because when I was doing the infrared sauna in Syracuse, I was just booking a two-person sauna. It was just me in there.
Mm-hmm.
And this infrared sauna at Denver Sports Recovery fit 6 people. And the conversations we were having and the bonds we were forming were just incredible. And I'm like, wow, there's something to this. We're in a captive environment. Our endorphins are racing. We're all overcoming this obstacle together. And like the mental clarity that you have inside of a sauna really is some of the most mental clarity I have with anything I do. And yeah, just I call them like sauna convos. The sauna
Mm-hmm.
convos are some of the best conversations you'll have in your life. So, I'm reaping these physical benefits, I'm reaping these physical and emotional benefits, but I'm also having these really engaging conversations with people. So multitasking without multitasking.
Do you do you ever get in the cold in the very beginning of the morning, like to kickstart your day?
Very rarely, only because I'm such a creature of habit.
Mm-hmm.
And, I like doing it with others. And I typically save the routine from 4 to 6 because that's when people can generally come over to the house and do it with me. I think it's an incredible way to start your day. I've done it, a handful of times. It's definitely like having a cup of coffee. I think it sets you up for success. For me, my first workout is just that. Like that is what puts me in flow state for the day. When I hit my 90-minute strength and anaerobic conditioning workout, some don't have the luxury to do that. So I think, 3 minutes in cold water, you're going to get so much bang for your buck early in the morning.
What time is normally your first workout?
8:30 to 10:30 is blocked
Mm-hmm.
out every single day for that first workout. Five
There's
days
a
a week. I'm sorry.
you say you do take 2 days off completely?
5 days a week, I'm in a gym doing CrossFit workouts. And then 2 days a week, I'm doing at least 90 minutes of aerobic activity. So, like tomorrow, I don't have time to go to the gym. I guess I could if I got up early enough, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to run from the house for about 60 to 90 minutes tomorrow. So every day, yeah, that's done around 8:30.
How new of a competition is High Rocks?
It came to the US probably 4 years ago. It's been in Europe for maybe 6 or 7 years now. So pretty new in the grand scheme of things
Mm-hmm.
and still growing tremendously in the US specifically.
You're the first person I heard about it from. And yesterday I went on their website and I was trying to figure out exactly what it is. To
Yeah.
you, like, what is it?
Yeah. So it's 8,000 meters of running broken into 1,000-meter intervals. And after each 1,000-meter run, you do a workout station. The workout stations, and they're always in the same order. I might get them a little out of order, but it's 1,000-meter ski, a heavy sled push, 385 pounds, I believe, on carpet for, I want to say it's maybe 100-ish meters. I could be wrong on that, on the meters. That's the equalizer that separates like good runners from good runners that are also really strong. A really heavy sled pull on carpet, 275 pounds, I believe, same distance as the sled push. 1,000-meter row, burpee broad jumps for like 100-ish
Ooh, those are
meters.
rough.
Yeah, super rough. Heavy farmer's carry, 70-pound kettlebells in each hand. What else is it? Heavy sandbag lunge, 70-pound sandbag, and then 100 wall balls is the finishing workout.
Are you actively training to compete in more of those?
I have the championships coming up in February, and this will be the first one where I've kind of specifically trained more so for it,
Hmm.
meaning I've ramped the running back up again. The way I train in general, where I vary the aerobic cardio between biking and running, rucking, hiking, and CrossFit, lends itself really well to High Rocks. High Rocks is basically non-skill based CrossFit capacity, and how fast of a runner are you under fatigue. So I have ramped the running up the last 2 months specifically for High Rocks. The past competitions I've done, I haven't really ramped my running up. I've just kind of kept it with, if it's summertime, I'm not really running that much because I'm mountain biking more. If it is in the winter, then I'm running more often. And then I also have practiced the sled push and sled pull a bit more.
Hmm.
I was kind of my ego got in the way, thinking that I was strong enough that I didn't really have to practice those movements. But there's definitely some skill associated with it, and it is a unique movement that really requires a lot of hamstring strength, specifically for the sled push.
Yeah. How important is it to you to kind of switch up what you're doing?
It's important to vary it so that I don't go too far in any one capacity. And, while what I do seems extravagant to most, it's not exactly what I was like. The Ironman days was 25 hours of triathlon specific training,
Hmm.
cardio, zone two. And that I definitely, it was too far in one direction. So my training now is much more varied between lifting heavy weights, doing Olympic lifting, doing gymnastics, doing accessory lifts, doing anaerobic efforts. I wasn't doing much anaerobic training in the triathlon days. So, that's like spiking my heart rate, doing CrossFit Metcons, assault bike intervals, short, hard bursts. And then I generally don't go over 90 minutes of aerobic cardio in a day. It's generally 45 to 90 minutes, and that's either running, biking, rucking, or hiking.
Hmm.
And that blend works well for me so that I can back it up again the next day and just get a similar feeling day in and day out and not overdo it in one capacity. So I can't back up that same effort the next day.
Yeah, I understand that too. Is there how closely are you paying attention to your nutrition?
Nutrition for me has really been on autopilot for a long time. I dabbled a lot in the Ironman years to figure out something that worked, and it's changed some over time, but I don't count macros. I generally eat pretty much the same things at the same times each day. I have a rotation of like four things. So I build my calories throughout the day. I eat really, really light throughout the day, to the point where when friends come and train with me, they're like, "How are you still going? Like, you have nothing in your system. We're starving." And I'm just like used to it. So it's generally just like smoothies throughout the day, or I'll do eggs and turkey sausage for meal one and meal two. I'm probably only 600 to 800 calories during the day. And then, I eat a really big dinner every night. And that typically is either steak, burgers, chicken, salmon. And then for a carb, I'm either doing rice or potatoes.
Hmm.
Really simple. And it works for me. I look forward to it
Yeah.
every single day. I don't snack very much. Sometimes I'll bring a bar with me to the gym, or I'll bring a bar with me on a longer ride if I feel like I need it while I'm exercising. But generally, it's just kind of 3 square meals through the day and maybe one bar to hold me over. I probably end the day around 3,000 to 3,500 calories. And I try to get around 1 gram per pound of protein.
Hmm.
That's really the only thing that I really focus on is, am I having protein with each meal?
Yeah. That's one thing I focus or I tell people as well, is like just keep it simple. As simple as possible is what works best for me. I know, everybody's different, but you mentioned earlier you're taking off to Miami. Are you doing something down there with 10,000?
Yeah, 10,000 in Go Ruck. So half marathon with a weight vest, a Go Ruck weight vest. And I'm kind of bummed about this. I just learned this in the last few days. I was hoping I could just like rip it and see how fast I could run a half marathon with a weight vest, but I think we're running together as a crew for 10,000. 10,000 has become a big sponsor for Lifetime Fitness, and Lifetime owns the Miami Marathon. So it's going to be a big press thing for 10,000 and Go Ruck. So we're hosting some workouts leading up to it. I'm super stoked to interact with the Miami fitness scene and do some community workouts. And then, I mean, it's still going to be really fun, but it's not going to be just go all out and see what my time is at the end.
Yeah, 10,000. They have some great gear.
They
I
do.
know, I know you rock it all the time. What type of supplements do you take? Maybe to kickstart your day or throughout the day.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll put some supplements way up here and some, down here because I get a lot of stuff sent to me. I work with a lot of companies and, my supplement routine, if I was paying for all of it, would be pretty pricey. So, I want to break this down for people of if, you have a couple $100 to spend a month on supplements, what I would do. Caffeine has been in my routine for 12 to 14 years now. I don't cycle off of it. I probably should at some point if I wanted to, get even more of a high from it. But I do one espresso every morning, along with like 16-ounce glass of water. That's how I generally kickstart my day. I put collagen in that, and I put a little bit of honey in it. And then as far as supplements that I take, I do athletic greens every
Mhm.
morning. I do Armra colostrum, which is the first milk a mother produces for her offspring. Creatine has been in my routine for a very, very long time. I truly believe creatine, if you want to build strength and muscle mass, is one of those ones that like benefits way up here. Creatine should definitely be in your routine. Um, I also do beet powder for endurance and circulation, blood flow. There's lots of studies around beet powder helping endurance athletes. So beet powder has been in my routine ever since the Ironman day. So I put beet powder pretty high up there. And then, there's different things that I'll try here and there. Lately, I've been using this product called HVMN, which is a ketone booster. I really like that for just like this focused clarity and focused energy. I'll do a shot of that before my morning workout or before any cognitive task that I have. I've dabbled with lots of different nootropics over the years. I was big on Alpha Brain during the Ironman years.
Mhm.
My friend has a company called Thesis that I really like now. They have different blends like for clarity and energy and focus and motivation. There's another company out there called Troscriptions that has this product called methylene blue that turns your tongue blue, but it's an incredible nootropic. That's something I'll only take, if I'm doing a 100-mile bike ride, or I'm doing the Leadville 100 mountain bike race, or, I really want to rip a high rocks race, because some of those products, they have a down associated with it too.
Mhm.
Some of it I think is from the product and the boost in dopamine that it's giving you, but some of it too, I feel like is correlated to the like how focused and how dropped into whatever you're doing you become, that the dopamine from that is such a major dump that you're going to have like this below dopamine hit afterwards. So I'm
Sure.
careful with things like that where I feel like they're producing too much of a dopamine hit so that I don't have down days afterwards.
Yeah.
And then in the evening, I take Beam Dream, and I've taken Beam Dream for
I
several
saw
years
that.
now.
Yeah.
Incredible product, friends with the founder of the company. There is melatonin in it. I know there's, some talk that melatonin might not be the best and definitely isn't good for younger kids, but works for me. I haven't experienced any negative effects from it. It also has magnesium, L-theanine, nano CBD.
Mhm.
And for me, it just knocks me out at night, and I get, 8 hours of sleep every night.
Do you have down days? Do you have anxiety? Do you have depression? Is that something you've ever had to deal with?
Yeah, all of those. I mean, just like any normal human, there's
Mhm.
things that definitely will knock me off my rocker. And I mean, the reason why I stick so religiously to my routine is I know that that puts me in a good mental place day in and day out. But yeah, I mean, if a loved one gets sick, obviously that's going to change my energy tremendously. I just try to stick to those routines that I know make me the best version of myself and hopefully can get me out of that hole. Um, I mean, the hole would be more from, if I spend too many days up late at night, entertaining or in highly stimulating environments, and I get shitty sleep, and then, I don't have the same energy that I normally have to work out. And then, my conversations and meetings are affected by that. My mental clarity
Mhm.
is affected by that. So the biggest one on a regular basis that I can control would be like late night activities. That's
Yep.
something I really try to curb. And, I make sure, like we had a dinner in LA last week that, I thought the benefits of staying up late and interacting with the people at this dinner were going to outweigh potentially having a couple down days afterwards. So I assess the risk benefit analysis whenever there's, late night activities. I generally avoid late night concerts, and I avoid late night parties and late night dinners for the most part.
That's for me, it's sleep. If I can get a good night's sleep, I
It's
know I'm
huge.
gonna be all right. Yeah, it's huge. Is there what's your outlook on alcohol nowadays?
I haven't really consumed much alcohol since I was 28 years old. So I've been 14 years out of the game. And there was no like cold turkey moment. Just with the Ironman phase, like I became so obsessed with getting to Kona that staying up late, alcohol, late night parties, all of that just, steadily, I was no longer interested in it because it
Mhm.
didn't serve the goal of getting to Kona. And I've been able to build my day around people, environments, activities that bring me way more joy than alcohol ever brought me. Like when my head hits the pillow at 9 o'clock at night, like I've had such an amazing day. I don't live, for the weekends anymore. I don't live for, 6:30 p.m. to roll around where I can go out and have drinks with friends. Like my days are so fun and so active that I just don't need to do anything late night anymore. And my friend group over the years has changed
Mhm.
where the majority of my friends, again, they're doing similar things to me. They're athletes or business owners, and, they're not involved in drinking or late night activities. So I don't have that pressure from friends anymore. So yeah, it's just friend group changing, environment changing, goals changing. And I mean, my advice to people to, drink less if that's something they're interested in is, finding other activities where you can be vulnerable, finding other activities that make you feel like the man or the woman. And for me, that was really exercise, sauna sessions, cold exposure, where I would get an even better feeling than I would get from alcohol. If I do a workout, like afterwards, I feel like I'm the life of the party.
Mhm.
After doing contrast therapy, I feel like I'm the life of the party. And that's what alcohol fueled for me. I wanted to feel like I was the life of the party, and I wanted to meet people. And I've been able to find other activities that fill that void.
Yeah. Community is a big one for sure. The people around you. Do you do you closely track your activity and your sleep and that sort of stuff?
I mean, I have a Koros watch. I definitely look at my runs when I finish up my runs or my bike
Mhm.
rides. I'm generally I kind of know what my heart rate is whenever I'm doing anything, just because I've been doing this for so long now. But while I'm running and while I'm biking, I do have my heart rate up. I have my pace up. I generally know what pace I'm running at. I generally know what wattage I'm biking at. Um, but I do track all of those things still. I don't track CrossFit workouts. I mean, I guess it's tracked on my Koros. My
Mhm.
Koros is always measuring my heart rate, but I'm not looking at it during any CrossFit workouts. Strength progressions. I mean, I follow a program. I loosely follow Matt Fraser's HWPO. So when I go into the gym in the morning, like I have purpose with my workouts. I know what percentages I'm doing. I know what lifts I'm doing. I know what the anaerobic workout is. I know what the accessory lifts are going to be. So I go into all of those workouts with purpose. Unless I'm training for like an Ironman or marathon or something like that, I don't have that same kind of purpose with the running or biking. That's more just recreational for me
Mhm.
now. But during those Ironman years, 100% tracking everything.
Yeah.
I had heart rate zones that I had to hit on my runs. I had wattage zones that I had to hit on my bikes. And then I spent years, tracking sleep with Whoop, where I was tinkering with different routines to see how it affected my sleep. But I've got it all pretty dialed in now from, really focusing on one thing at a time and then just stacking those year after year.
Yeah. And the way you have grown yourself, your personal brand, You have had the ability now to work with a bunch of brands, a bunch of
Yeah.
companies. Are there things you look for in a company or a brand that must be important to you when you decide to work with them?
Definitely. I literally just got off a call with a potential new brand partner before I jumped on with you. And my conversation with him is you're like the perfect fit for companies I like working with. And the metrics for me are I want a relationship with the founder of the company. I want to make sure that I can provide a return on investment for them. So that means that it has to be something that I'm going to use on a regular basis. It has to weave in well with my lifestyle. It has to be something that I feel like my audience will be receptive to. And it has to be something where I feel like I can help them in more ways than just building awareness. If they need help raising money, if they need help with distribution channels, if they need help getting into different events, all of those are different things I think about. So Nike might be a bad example because I think Nike is a cool brand, but like a big brand, I'm generally not interested in working with them because I don't want to feel like just a billboard. I
Mhm.
can't add that much value for Nike, even if they're going to pay me a nice check. Like I want to feel like I'm adding value both for the brand and for my audience. I want my audience to learn about the latest and greatest. I want them to be excited about the brands I'm working with.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword of like, can I add value for the brand and can I also add value for my audience? And relationships are super important to me.
Mhm.
All of the long-term relationships that I have with companies I'm working with, I have incredible friendships and relationships with the founders. Many of them I've invested in. So I want to make sure that I have relationships with the founders of the company.
Awesome. And I have a couple more questions. And you've been super grateful or graceful with your time. If you were to have to pick one activity or one machine, what would it be?
Um, Probably an assault bike for a machine if you want a cardio machine.
Mhm.
I think that's where you can get the most bang for your buck from an anaerobic standpoint. That's talking like pure gym equipment. I mean, if I could only do one thing for the rest of my life around movement, I would pick my mountain bike. I love mountain biking. There's an anaerobic component to it, there's an aerobic component to it, there's some strength component to it, even upper body with the descending of technical terrain. Like your shoulders, triceps, and arms are getting an incredible workout. You're outside, you're in nature, you're getting sunlight. And I always pick skill based activities with some risk associated with non skill based activities with no risk associated because presence is a superpower. And those types of activities force you to be completely in the moment. And I feel like that carries over to everything else in life. We're just inundated with distractions with cell phones and just we all have copious options. So I like practicing presence and skill-based activities and risk associated activities. They force you to be completely in the moment.
Do you ever do any still meditation?
No, I have in the past. I mean, I shouldn't say a hard no to that. I get a deep tissue massage every other week, at least every other week. That's my 90 minutes where last night was 2 hours. That's my time where I completely check out and just kind of reflect. But generally, I consider my mountain biking, the fat biking, the running in the mountains.
Sure.
I almost always do those alone. And even if I go with someone, like I'm going at my own pace, they're going at their own pace. We're both alone. We might meet at the trailhead and we might, reconvene for a ride home, but we're generally doing those alone. And I call that my moving meditation.
Mhm.
That's the space I need because I'm inundated with people and messages, and I like taking at least 60 to 90 minutes a day. Again, being outside where I have my phone on airplane mode and I can just kind of reflect and just allow for space in my mind.
Yeah. Meditation for me is my exercise. When somebody comes up to you and you know what, I might not even get this a ton because the community you have around you, but if somebody does come up to you and be like, "Man, Eric, like you're an inspiration, like I am, sedentary lifestyle, like what should I do first? Like what's the first step?" What do you tell them?
I think exercise is the first step in all of it. That was at the very top of my food chain before I mastered nutrition, before I mastered recovery, before I mastered supplements, before I mastered sleep. Movement was the number one thing. And I think the where you get the most bang for your buck is lifting heavy weights, and that simply means 70 to 80% of your lift. It doesn't mean deadlifting 500 pounds. If you can only deadlift 100 pounds, it means doing reps and sets at 70 pounds. So lifting at a percentage of your max lifts, doing complex lifts like back squat, deadlift, pressing movements, and then doing anaerobic conditioning, short, hard intervals. And again, like that's just spiking your heart rate. That could be running 100 meters. I think that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. And it's going to be a snowball effect in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
If you start doing that, you're probably going to want to start eating healthy. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have better relationships with people. You're going to start getting better sleep. Better sleep is going to lead to more energy. That's going to lead to heavier lifts. That's going to lead to more
Yeah.
anaerobic capacity. And it's just, all of this is just habit stacking over time. But that's where I would start, is with exercise, and specifically lifting weights and doing, short, hard intervals.
Very cool. Well, Eric, man, thank you so much for your time today, coming on, talking with me. These are the conversations I love. And I know you head off to Miami for a big weekend. That's some exciting stuff. We love Miami. Me and my wife do, man. So thank you for coming on. Hell of a conversation. You're really an inspiration too. Like if anybody needs a little bit of inspiration, they just need to like check out your social media and stuff, because that should get you off the couch a little bit.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me on. And if some of your audience is in your hometown of Greenville, I'll give you guys a really good spot to cold plunge. There's a place called Wildcat Wayside. It is kind of near Greer, I believe. It's like
Mm-hmm.
on the way to DuPont National Forest. And there's this swimming hole there that Sarah and I used to cold plunge in all the time. And then also Paris Mountain, right in Greenville. There's a stream that runs through Paris Mountain, and we used to go there all the time and lay in the cold water in the winter.
You're gonna have to come back, man, and let me
We
know.
will.
It was really cool to hear you and Sarah spend a bunch of time here. Will she go to Miami with you?
She will. Yep.
Awesome. Well, awesome guy. Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Sam.